Quick disclaimer, this is not a review of the season. I think it's been a great season. I think even if we went out against Lyon, it's been a really good season. Another one off the back of last season. That's not what it's about. It's about how I'm feeling today. And I do this video, whatever, an hour or two after the game against Brentford has finished. This one's on David Moyes, as far as I'm concerned. It really is. It's hard not to look back on a January transfer window. But it's not just the January transfer window that we've got to look at. It's actually the recruitment in the summer as well. I'm okay with missing out on not buying players in the January and the winter window. And Gio eloquently said how Tottenham have done it well, how even Brentford have done it well. I'm okay with not doing that. If your summer recruitment's been good, ours hasn't, it was rubbish. It was. At the 4 players, and excuse me if I got anything wrong, Krau, Vlasic, Areola and Zuma, only one of them, you can only call one of them a success. You could call at least 2 of them outright failures. Okay? What was the point if we're not going to use them? And here is my point here, right? And I'm just frustrated. The reason I'm frustrated, let me get this right, is that after Wolves losing, after Man U losing, after Arsenal losing, we had a real opportunity. A real opportunity to put a little bit of pressure, a little bit of squeaky bum on Tottenham. Not much, but a real opportunity to go for 5th in the league. And we have not taken it. And not only have we not taken it, we didn't even look like we wanted to take it. They were either lazy or they were knackered. I suspect they're knackered. David Moyes can't say they're knackered. I understand that. Because why? Because we'll turn around and say, Moyesy, why have you relied on such a thin squad? Too many of these things seem to be a surprise to him. An absolute surprise. And I made the observation in the review that Mikel Antonio, I am going to. You know what I mean. I'm not talking about the car crash in terms of Lanzini, but what we saw unfold in front of us was a car crash in slow motion with Mikel Antonio. But everyone else could see it happening. Why didn't David Moyes? I'm talking about during the game. This is not even about the long-term strategy of not bringing a striker in January. This is during this game. But here's the point. Souček was absolutely knackered. Where's the midfielder? Okay, Mark Noble's not there. We shouldn't be relying on Mark Noble anyway. Mark Noble's so old in terms of football. He's retiring this season. But Krau, why not use Krau? Well, because he doesn't trust him, he doesn't fancy him, because he's not as good. Why bring him in? Okay? When we're lacking a bit of punch up front, Bowen was crap, Antonio was crap, whatever. Vlasic, who, and look, there's some discrepancy over whether we paid 27 million, which is what I think it is if everything adds up, or it was 18 million. Personally, I think we'll end up paying about 20 million for Vlasic. Still a massive signing. Are you going to admit you got that wrong? Because I tell you what, he was ineffective when he came on as well. I don't mind in many respects if you try and go through with a small squad, as long as that you use everyone in that squad. He won't even do that. He will not even do that. What on earth was going on in that game? I mean, there were so many times where the players' heads were bowed, and do you know what? It almost looked like not just fatigue. I know what someone looks like when they're running out of breath, but it looked like a resignation, like bloody depression. And some points of it, you know, it was there was a case in point, I think, in particular. 2 stand out in my mind. Number 1, Antonio, but also Declan Rice again, head bowed, you know, trying to get back, just gutted that basically the ball had been surrendered, possession had been surrendered. It wasn't him at the point that surrendered it. It got surrendered on the right-hand side. Maybe it's Soufal, someone like that, don't know. But he just turned round, Declan Rice went, and just sort of started to jog back a little bit. I'm just absolutely dumbfounded what I said. And this boils down to, this is what I'd like to know. And this is why I did a disclaimer at the start. I think Moyes is a magnificent manager. I think we're lucky to have him. I think a lot of these managers come in their flavour of the month, right? Hasenhüttl will be a case in point. 6 weeks ago, Hasenhüttl was flavour of the month. Oh, he's a tactical genius, all this. Would I swap David Moyes for Hasenhüttl? No. He's just got another drubbing again. He's streaky. He's got Alan Pardew-itis. He's streaky, right? Steven Gerrard. Oh, he was flavour of the month, wasn't he? Absolutely brilliant. He's just lost 4 games in a row. Would I swap David Moyes for Steven Gerrard? No, I wouldn't. Will Steven Gerrard be as good a manager as David Moyes in the Premier League? I don't know. I suspect not. At the moment, he probably isn't. So it's not about that. However, there's holes in his game. There's flaws in his game. I guess that's bound to happen. He's not Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp, who are the best ones. But that being said, I do think it was a massive, massive error of judgment to think, oh, I know what I can do. I can go into this season and go for a European campaign with just this small group of players, and I'm only going to use only some of them. There'll be a handful that I'll discard and won't use. And this is what I want asked to him in the press conference. By the way, before I go any further, seems a bit inappropriate at the moment, mid-rant, but this video is sponsored by the OneFootball app. You can download it and read all about this horrible performance and this horrible game by clicking the link below. That's why I'm pointing down there, by the way. Thank you, by the way, to everybody who's subscribed earlier on this week. Do appreciate it. You can use the QR code up there. Why the OneFootball app? Well, because you don't have to search in individually for all the West Ham news in the newspapers and the websites. All you do when you sign up, you say, "Bosh, I support West Ham," even if I'm grumpy about it today, and it puts all the news into one place, delivers it to your phone. Best of all, it's free. Because I would have a load of questions to ask David Moyes in that press conference. I would want to know why he took so long to deal with anything. We were impotent. Bowen could not impact that game. Antonio could not impact that game. Fornals. Obviously, Lanzini just wasn't impacting the game at all. Why didn't you notice it? And why weren't you able to impact it and deal with it yourself? I know the answer. I just want him to say it. The answer is you couldn't impact it because he didn't have effective substitutes. Why have you not got effective substitutes? Because you didn't buy anyone. Even didn't bring anyone in on loan. We got 3 players that to choose from on the left wing, none of whom are left wingers. None of whom. We got Cresswell, who, let's be fair, good player, really, his deliveries and all the rest of it. But he's not, as they would say, as a modern manager would say, he's not in a good moment at the moment. All right? Good moment at the moment. You get what I'm saying? What's the answer? What's he do about it? Because they targeted him. Brentford targeted Cresswell, by the way. I think it's fair to say that, right? What's his answer? He won't do anything. Why? Well, because Masuaku's the replacement there. Why? Why is he the replacement? Why isn't someone else brought in? Yes, I know Johnson can play there, but you get what I'm saying. I don't even understand why he's playing Soufal to try and get some miles into his legs before. Clearly, what he wants to do is play Soufal against Lyon and play Johnson at left back. But why? I would like to ask David Moyes, how many games do you actually think Souček can play without his performance dipping? And what I would also ask is, do you think his performance has dipped? What do you think's doing it? Do you think it's because you've changed the roles of him and Declan Rice? Or do you think fitness has played any part? I would ask him, do you not feel at all obliged, bearing in mind he plays all the Czech Republic games? It's all right for Rice. Gareth Southgate, I guess Gareth Southgate's got a dialogue with David Moyes. Gareth Southgate does it with his players. If there's 2 friendlies, he'll only play his top players in one of the games. That doesn't happen with Souček. Souček plays all the games. I would ask David Moyes, do you not feel obliged or feel that you should give him a rest? Or David Moyes might say, well, I've seen the data, he runs just as many miles. And in which case I would reply, well, don't you think that data is slightly flawed then? In which case the data's not just reflective. He might be running as many miles, but he's not as effective. He's not providing a threat. He was off the pace. Don't mean to dig him out particularly. It was just one of many. For so many of them. And I know there's going to be people who say, look, they were knackered after the Lyon game. I get that. We handled the European campaign early on in the season because he sort of swapped the team around a bit, didn't he? Do you remember he was playing Ogbonna and Zuma as centre-backs. He played Dawson and Diop in this one. There would be some level of rotation. He's just not able to do any level of rotation because he doesn't trust the players that are going to come in. He's just not doing it at the moment. Yes, Soufal came in, Lanzini came in. I wouldn't call that rotation, though. I would call that him playing his first choice attacking midfielder and his first choice right back when they became available. I'm really worried. I'm really worried about this because it might unravel. This was a pivotal time for us. What we got, Burnley after Lyon? Might be wrong, but I think we got Burnley. after Leon. The opportunity's there, and I want us to grasp it. And I want Moyes to be ambitious. This is the one thing that I think Moyes is ambitious, but he just seems to have this time frame that that's all right, I'll be ambitious over 4 or 5 years. Without actually thinking, and he's even said, I'm ahead of schedule. Well, then reassess, reevaluate. Drag your targets closer if you're further ahead than you thought you were. Don't just still stay with the same plan. There were loan signings available. I'm not even saying everyone. It's easy to say. This is the thing. It's what we do with Flavour of the Month. I don't do this. I just know that there are players out there. When Coutinho was ripping it up, I'm saying, why don't we sign Coutinho? Now it's, why don't we sign Eriksen? It doesn't really matter who it is. What that does show is that there were players available. You could bring players in. There were players available on loan. There were players. Half of the football world's skint at the moment, by the way. They'll take a £3 million loan fee. You'll get that back by one place in the Premier League. I just don't know why we don't do it. And I just don't know. It's almost a microcosm what happened in the game of Antonio unraveling and then Moyes being surprised by it is a microcosm of what is going to happen possibly in the season, whereby we'll get to the end and David Moyes will think, oh wow, we're knackered. We just got to the end and the team were tired because I used the players so much. No shit, Sherlock. You know, it's I hope it doesn't happen. But I'm frustrated at the moment. I'm really frustrated by what I saw against Brentford. I wanted to see a better effort. I didn't expect a great result up until about an hour before the game. I expected a draw. And if I'm honest, I said a draw in the preview because I didn't want to say a loss. I sort of half expected a loss. I even said in one of the videos of build-up, I alluded to it. I said we struggle against teams like this, and we do, right? And we do. That being said, I expect us to give it a go. I expect us to show spirit and endeavour and passion. It's gone. It was gone. And that wasn't evident. So where was it and why was it? And these are the questions I would like answered. Doesn't matter now. We don't need a big inquest now. It's just what I would ask if I was in that press conference. And I don't blame the people for not asking it. What do they know? What do they know? They'll be covering Norwich next week. They'll be covering Aston Villa the week after. They don't know all the nuances of West Ham. But when we were desperate for energy, that's what we were desperate for. Do not tell me, I know you're not, have you seen, I'll give you 3 players, Forson, Chesters and Perkins. Do not tell me they wouldn't give us more energy. That might have just helped. Something might have happened. We might have done something. I'll tell you what, we wouldn't have conceded the second goal if we had a player with energy in there. A bit of that was frustration from Antonio. Most of it was because he was absolutely knackered. Some of it's technique, I get it. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. They tore us to absolute bits. And I'll tell you what, the Brentford coaching staff outdid our coaching staff, and the Brentford players almost won all their one-on-one battles. I do give a little bit of a pass to Declan Rice and then a little bit of a pass to Dawson because I do think he played through with a broken nose. But I think even Declan, I think it got to him that there was nobody around him. From Declan Rice forward, to his left, to his right and ahead of him, there was no one. There was no one that could compete in that game. And I blame the manager. I do. I blame the manager because, as I say, he's the one with the data. For looking at it, if the data in front of you doesn't say all these players are knackered or whatever, and your psychologist or whatever it is, your guy that's there to deal with your motivation cannot notice that the players are a little bit down, a little bit lacking, then your data is faulty. Because they looked knackered and they didn't look fresh mentally either. So whose job is it to assess that? If the answer would be, oh no, they all looked fine, all the data was fine, well, it's wrong. It's wrong. Your way of assessing it is wrong. It's not the first time either, by the way. I think Tottenham gets a bit more of a pass for 2 reasons. One, it's Tottenham, who are full of world-class players. And number 2, it was after 120 minutes. All right? This is, what can I say? I don't know. Anyway, listen, I'm just frustrated. I'm sure I'll be back tomorrow with a transfer roundup or something like that. But all in all, bad day at the office. Really, really bad day at the office. Onwards and upwards. I really hope that it doesn't impact. It just doesn't impact Thursday night. It's hard to lift yourself after that. Even a draw, they wouldn't have felt quite so melancholy in the dressing room afterwards. Anyway, I'm gone. I'm leaving it there.